Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. First of all, let me introduce everybody. On my right is Juan Michelin. He's from my firm. Juan is the person, if you guys have been following the case, who's been an unbelievable writer, who's drafted our motions, who's really, I think, responsible for why we're here today. To my right is Nora Lewis. Nora is an extraordinary young lawyer who was, I don't know how many years at the PD's office, and we recruited her mid-trial to help us try the case. She was invaluable to this case, and as far as anybody who's out there in the world of state criminal practice, Nora is somebody who's really a go-to person. In the back of me are two lawyers who represent the Alexander brothers. On my left is Joel De Niro. Joel represents Alon Alexander in the remaining state criminal case. Alon is the only criminal case against Alon Alexander. And behind me to my right is Edward O'Donnell Jr., who is representing Oren Alexander in the current case that the state is not dismissed on, and two other state criminal cases. Also, I'd love to recognize our data forensic team from Logical Insight, Mikey Russo, who's over there with the beard. I mean, in this day and age, when this is an electronic data case, it's unbelievable. Mikey was with me and Ryan Stumphauser at the U.S. Attorney's Office, and without going into his background, which is kind of funny and for another day, he's co-located in our office and has provided invaluable assistance in this case. His entire team was, I think, aside from Juan and Nora, the reasons that we're here today. And of course, to my left is my client, Ohad Fisherman, and his wife, Jordan, who've been through the ringer, and we'll get to that in a minute. First, 1 second. Okay. On December 10, 2024, Ohad Fisherman and his wife Jordan arrived in Japan to begin their 2-week honeymoon vacation. The very next day, Miami-Dade State Attorney Catherine Fernandez-Rundle told the world that Ohad was a rapist. When you're charged with rape, the news travels quickly. And imagine learning on the first day of your honeymoon, totally out of the blue, with no hint about anything, that you're wanted in Miami for a rape that allegedly occurred not last year, but 8 years ago. How do you even begin to prove that they've got the wrong guy? This is truly a Kafka-esque experience, if there ever was one. Yesterday on July 7th, the Miami-Dade State Attorney took it all back. Unfortunately, it's a day late and $1 short. In the 208 days since the state attorney's press conference, Mr. Fisherman cut his honeymoon short, returned to Miami to face the charge head-on. He surrendered in court and put up hundreds of thousands of dollars in collateral for a bond. The bond was put up by his mother-in-law. His mother-in-law. Can you imagine how much she believed in him to be able to put up her own property for a bond? I can tell you it wouldn't have happened to me. That's a whole other story. And because the prosecutor told the judge that because she didn't know what the feds might uncover, the judge placed Ohad on house arrest. He was then handcuffed in court in front of the media and perp walked through the Richard E. Gersten building. He was then taken to TGK and incarcerated there for 4 days until the conditions of his house arrest and ankle monitor could all be arranged. He suffered unimaginable personal and reputational harm, and he lived every single day with the uncertainty of possibly spending 30 years in Florida State Prison. Think about that for a second. Let me be clear. Ohad Fisherman committed no crime. He's not cooperating. There is no deal. The state dropped the charges because he is innocent. This case was a lie told for money, a lie without a shred of proof, a lie with no witnesses. The accuser didn't just wake up one morning and decide to walk into the Miami Beach Police Department and report a rape, especially one 8 years before. She spent months getting her story straight with her lawyers from Oren and Alon. And when she had it all lined up, the accuser and Oren and Alon made a call to the state attorney's office to set up a meeting. And it wasn't until October 8th, 2024, that she walked into the police station with one of those Oren and Alon lawyers by her side that she told that story for the first time in 8 years. Was it unusual for a civil lawyer to sit next to her client, the accuser, in a rape case? According to the lead detective, it was the first time in his 19-year career that somebody came in to report a rape accompanied by a civil lawyer. Despite that obvious red flag, the lead detective and the prosecutors accepted the accuser's accusations hook, line, and sinker. Significantly, during that interview, the accuser and Oren and Alon intentionally hid the fact that approximately 2.5 hours after the allegedly horrific gang rape, the accuser went partying at Lib in the Fontainebleau for the Justin Bieber New Year's Eve extravaganza. See the photo. That was taken at 10:45 p.m. 10:45 p.m. And the rape allegedly ended at about 7:30 p.m. She had to leave the apartment, get in an Uber, go back to her hotel room, cry on the shower floor, supposedly, while the shower's running for over a half an hour, then get into bed and rest for an hour, all in the small hotel room, while her 3 roommates from that weekend, her 2 sisters and her friend, had not begun getting ready. And somehow, these 4 young women were at the Justin Bieber concert by 10:35 p.m. Now, the defense lawyers uncovered that evidence, not the state. When we tried to get other exculpatory evidence, we were blocked at every turn. When we asked witnesses to look at their phones to see if they had anything from that weekend, the prosecutors told them they didn't even have to check their phones to see if they still had photos or relevant texts from that weekend. Instead of the state trying to get to the bottom of what happened, the state enabled the witnesses to obstruct our efforts. When we tried to extract the accuser's phone to see what she told her sisters, her friends, and her family about the alleged rape after that New Year's Eve 2016 weekend, Oren and Alon filed objections claiming we were invading her privacy and we were on some fishing expedition. When we tried to get similar information from the accuser's sisters' phones, Oren and Alon began representing the sisters and objecting and limiting what we could get. When we tried to take the accuser's lawyer's deposition to learn what the accuser first told anyone on earth about the incident and who was involved after 8 years, Morgan & Morgan brought in a team of lawyers to raise further attorney-client privilege issues. It was during that hearing that their lawyer had the unmitigated gall to lecture the defense lawyers that, quote, "I hope if their sister, mother, cousin was ever in this situation, they," pointing to us, "will never have to call Morgan & Morgan." Some of you who covered that hearing remember that I lost my cool and called that lawyer a doofus. However, in retrospect, it summed up our collective frustration, especially since we were also stymied from getting electronic evidence, specifically the alleged video of the incident itself from the Southern District of New York, who refused to cooperate with the Miami-Dade State Attorney's office. They wouldn't even acknowledge that they had it. And somehow, we were supposed to try this case. Why was the state so hell-bent on prosecuting the Alexanders and Ohad without any investigation? As a former prosecutor and the former U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of Florida, it pains me to say that the emails and text messages we reviewed pursuant to a public records request unequivocally show that the state was more interested in piling on the Alexander brothers than they were in corroborating the accuser and considering any alternative hypotheses. This was especially devastating for Ohad because he was never accused of anything else, of any other case, civil or criminal, any other woman. And the feds confirmed that he is not even a part of the case in New York. This case was a con. It was a con with courtrooms and cops thrown in to make it look real. I'm reminded of former U.S. Labor Secretary Raymond Donovan's quote after his acquittal of allegations of criminal wrongdoing in 1987, when he famously walked out on the steps of the courthouse and asked the assembled media, quote, "Which office do I go to get my reputation back?" On behalf of Ohad, how does Ohad wash away the stench of this case from the internet? How does he reestablish himself as a businessman? Ohad is owed a public apology from everyone involved. At this point, I'll let my colleagues, Juan and Nora, address. Before I let Juan and Nora do the Spanish, I'm going to have Ohad read a statement, and then after Juan and Nora do the Spanish, I'll have Joel and Eddie make a statement if they want to. Go ahead. Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank Hashem, thank God. Yesterday, the state of Florida dismissed the case against me. They were forced to say what they've known from day one. I am innocent. For nearly a year, I've been dragged through the mud, arrested, and labeled a monster based on lying. The prosecution had every tool and every opportunity to try and prove its case. They failed because the truth was never on their side. This should never ever happen. I'm a husband, a working man, and a soon to be a father. What happened to me, it's a lesson in what can happen to anyone when the system breaks down. I'm just a regular man. The damage done to me and my family is huge. Baruch Hashem, now we restart our lives. This was not dismissed on technicality. There is no deal, no compromise. The state dropped the charge because they knew I didn't do this. I'm an innocent. I want to thank my wife, my hero, always believing in me. My mother-in-law, for her strength. My family and every person who stood by me. And I want to thank my dream legal team. Thank you guys. My dream legal team for fighting and believing in me since day one. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Noah. Thank you all. Thank you, Michael.
Okay.
Love and faith. Love and faith got me through this. Thank God we are still standing. God bless. I will have more to say soon. Thank you.